Thank you very much, but I'm not speaking on the capacity of a Russian politician. I would rather speak in the capacity of a person who was very much involved in formation of Russian innovation ecosystem, which was until the annexation of Crimea developing very nicely, and after that very much collapsed, which creates a great opportunity for Ukraine, I think. But we learned quite a number of different things by doing what we were doing. And I would start from where Eugene has stopped and the proposal of ZIF about the funds and everything. You know, Russia was pretty early among our countries in allocating significant funding for venture capital industry. And we made pretty thorough research of different initiatives that were in different countries, in the US and in Israel and in Southeast Asia and in Finland and in other ecosystems. And the result was the formation of different what we called institutes of development, including so-called Russia Venture Company, which was fund of funds to facilitate formation of venture capital industry in Russia. And at the time Russia Venture Company was established. It was 2007, if I'm not mistaken. We put 500 million into RVC. And the mandate of RVC was to fund half of the committed capital on Russian market. And the result was that the first CEO of Russia Venture Company was sent to jail within a year of the establishment of RVC. And the reason was because he couldn't allocate the money. And then it was replaced by a current CEO, Igor Gamerzian, who was coming from Microsoft. And Igor basically had to radically revise the strategy of RVC and refocus RVC, because RVC was established by law, so he cannot change this 50-50 ratio, and he cannot change the mandate from being fund of funds. But RVC first years invested not into actual venture funds, which were investing in the companies, but they were investing in the infrastructure vehicles, like incubators, like different networking initiatives, like marketing support initiatives, in facilitating IP protection, this kind of things. They even established what is called infrastructure fund, which was funding this kind of industry support initiatives, and that paid off very nicely. After 3-4 years of working of those infrastructure development initiatives, Russian venture market started to pick up, and then they started investing, co-finance actual venture funds. And in 2013, the best year for Russia, the last year before the annexation of Crimea, Russia became number 4 world's venture capital market after US, Israel, and China. We surpassed 1 billion mark of investments. We became the largest venture capital market in Europe. We surpassed UK and Germany in these regards, and France. And we were so targeting to become number 3 market, and of course Israel was our next objective. Unfortunately, politics changed everything, and in 2014 virtually all private investors left, major investors and like really private investors left Russian market. We still have several hundred million of investments, but it's all done with vehicles that are affiliated with the state. And of course, that's not a real venture capital market. And virtually all the companies that were invested within a year, basically after the annexation of Crimea, relocated to Silicon Valley or to Boston. They pretend to be in Russia formally to keep being funded by the state, but generally their headquarters are elsewhere. Coming to Ukraine, I see that unfortunately we see a lot of mistakes that we were doing in Russia being repeated here. And generally the pattern for the talent market is following Russia's example, because it's not only about being pro-Western or not pro-Western, open or closed. It's also a lot about living standards, about the safety, it's about the stability, it's about the living comfort for engineering people, for entrepreneurs. And here, unfortunately, both Russia and Ukraine cannot offer very advantage conditions, and I think that is one of the things that Ukraine really needs to focus at. Because the brain drain virtually the same in percentage-wise from Russia and from Ukraine right now. And we see that, for example, in Belarus, the country which has absolutely undemocratic regime and not very much of openness, they are developing very nicely in terms of their ecosystem. Because their political system is stable, their tax system is stable, everything is predictable, and this is something which Ukraine really lacks. Second thing which is extremely important is about how to actually overcome what everybody here was speaking, and I can sign under this very dynamic and robust services market, which from one side is definitely an advantage, from another side is a problem. Ukraine has a lot of experience, has a lot of engineering talent, but it's totally occupied within this industry where they have stable returns, but it's a low technology market. Ukraine definitely lacks experience in terms of products, and internal market is insufficient to pick up. And again, here I think that the current situation with the war and with the Russia aggression presents an opportunity. Firstly, because there is a whole set of applications that is needed right now for Ukraine national security, and it's mainly in the industries where Ukraine is traditionally strong, is in the security space, cyber security, physical security, aerospace. All of that is in a high demand. From other side, we see companies that leave Russia, and many of them can be hosted here in Ukraine, enjoy the same low rates, but work on Russian market from Ukraine and for outside markets from Ukraine. And here the whole range of possibilities in fintech, in mobile applications, as well as in the very promising Ukrainian market of agriculture, where a lot of technology intensive applications, both biotechnologies and management technologies, IT solutions are needed. To conclude, I think that I see that in the current government there is a notion to put high technologies in the spotlight, and I see different initiatives which are brewing up so far pretty silently, but I think that we will see in the fall significant advances in terms of government approach to the industry, and I highly urge everybody sitting in this audience to participate in those technologies. Because of course, you know, when we are looking at the advanced markets like US or Israel, it's very tempting to say that it's all work created in a grassroots way, that it's all entrepreneurs who has created this, but it's not the case. not a single innovation ecosystem in the world, including Silicon Valley, has been created in a grassroots fashion. All of those examples were created by the government, driven by the government, and first at least a decade of development was totally dominated by the government. So by making Ukrainian government reasonable, focused, and efficient, we can do a lot of good for our industry. And without this, we will be doomed for a very long and painful startup process. Thank you.